This week, I am going to speak about effort. So last week was about karma, and karma in its simplest form is about action. And to take it into the karma space, when you take action, are you choosing to take action from fear, or are you choosing to take it from love? So this week, I want to speak about the effort that we put behind the action that will help us on a bigger scale to say, oh, this is why I'm taking the action from fear as opposed to love. Action and effort are essential in this human experience to take, depending on what your goals are or how you want to live your life. So maybe you have some health goals or some fitness goals, or you have some relationship goals or financial goals or work goals. Whatever you have as goals in your life, you need to take action in direction. And there's some effort behind that action. So this week is less about the effort we put behind the action we need to take, and more about the effort that we are wasting. Because we are spending a lot of effort doing things that exhaust us, and maybe unwittingly exhaust us. And there's three in particular that I want to speak about. So this week, I invite you to bring balance to where you're putting the effort here. So the first one is we waste a lot of energy and a lot of effort arguing with reality. The second one is we waste a lot of energy and effort blaming, whether it's ourselves or someone else. And the third real energy sucker is when we spend so much time needing to defend ourselves. And maybe that looks like, oh, I have to, I want to be right. I need to be right. I need to defend myself, or I need to persuade somebody or convince somebody that I am right. And that takes a lot of energy to do. So let's break that down a little bit. The first energy sucker is when we argue with reality. So this comes down to accepting what is. Now, accepting what is doesn't mean like you just give up. Okay, forget it. I just accept. Done. Whatever. I don't care. It's not that. You don't have to like what's happening, but if you can accept it first in the moment, then there's more space to start to make some changes around it. But if you're just arguing with reality, I don't like it, I don't want this, maybe you're replaying things, maybe you're just stuck in the energy of wishing things were different. So you're mentally arguing with something that's already happened. Byron Katie has a quote that says, when you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. So how much energy are we actually putting in to wishing things were different than they are? Let's take that energy back and create the space. Like whatever is happening that we don't like, that we are arguing with, wishing it was different, no matter what it is, on whatever scale it is happening right now. I may not like it, but I'm no longer going to fight it. I'm not going to waste my energy fighting it. And in that, we take back a huge amount of energy that we can then use that effort behind the next step. Blame. Oh my gosh, that's another energy sucker. Blame. When we blame ourselves or we blame someone else, we're playing back in our mind what we did, what somebody else did. We should have done things differently. They should have done things differently. We're just stuck in reaction. And what blame does is it keeps us very focused on the problem. Well, we want the solution. We don't want to stay stuck in the problem. But when we shift out of blame, we step into something different. We shift into the liberating and powerful energy of responsibility. And responsibility is not blame. It's not saying, okay, well, now this is my fault. What responsibility does, it says, you know what, this is my life, and I now get to choose how I respond to it. That's when we take our power back and say, well, I'm going to shift my perspective. This is when every problem becomes an opportunity. To what? To learn, to grow, to look at the problem, whether it's a situation, a thing, or a person that you're blaming or holding responsible, for all of the things going wrong in your life. No, you take responsibility. I now get to choose how I respond. And in that, I'm going to see things differently. I'm going to see this person who really challenges you or triggers you. I'm going to see them as a teacher. Somebody or something that can teach me more about myself or teach me something else, a deeper understanding. And so from that shift, you may not get the solution right away, but you begin to shift from it's a problem now to it's a solution. So when we start to accept just the moment and then take responsibility, so we get to shift and see things differently. Now, Eckhart Tolle has this quote. He says, you can make this moment your friend or your enemy. Well, when you're in that first stage of acceptance, you're going, I don't like it. How can I make it my friend? Well, just a minute. If you have said, okay, I'm going to accept it. I don't like it, but I'm no longer going to fight it. And then you step into, well, I'm going to drop and release. I'm no longer going to, put all of my energy into blaming myself or someone else. I'm going to step back from that, create some more space where I can now see that this person is my teacher or this situation is now my teacher and an opportunity for me to learn something and to grow and to make some real headway. Now I'm not all caught up in these energy suckers. I am now freeing up the space. I can now make this moment my friend because it's now my teacher. And I get the opportunity now to learn something. And then the third energy sucker is needing to be right or needing to defend ourselves. How much effort do we actually put into needing to persuade or convince someone else that we're right or they need to believe what we believe? And you know what? Even if we are right, it messes with our peace. It messes with the connection that we're even having with someone else. So if we can just accept that they have different beliefs than us, responsibility shift, okay, yeah, we get to see this differently and handle this differently. Now we get to see that this is a teacher for us. And then when we drop that need to be right or need to defend ourselves or need to defend our point of view, something else happens. Something opens up. This is where discernment comes in. I don't need to take all of my energy trying to convince you. I get to just come into me and go, well, what feels right for me? Because sucking all my energy into trying to convince somebody else or that I'm right or that they need to believe you know what? That messes with my peace. What feels right for me? This is where core values come in. Am I aligning with my core values? How do I even know that if I'm putting all of my energy out there trying to convince somebody that I'm right? And the thing I love about aligning with my core values It's kind of like, these are my core values. They might not be your core values. I don't know what your core values are, but these are my core values. I don't need to convince you that you need to have the same core values as me. These are my core values. When you know your core values, you don't need to prove or defend them to anybody else. You know they are yours. And when you know, you know. You don't need to convince anybody of anything or prove them. They're yours. So these 3 big energy suckers, if we're putting all of our effort into arguing with reality, blaming ourselves or others, and needing to defend ourselves or need to be right, oh my goodness, we're exhausted. We have no energy to actually put the effort behind the action that helps us move towards what we want, what's really important to us. So yes, we want to put action and the effort behind, living our life and achieving our goals and doing what's important. Taking action, again, karma, action. Are you choosing love or are you choosing fear? Well, you know what? If you're arguing with reality, you're choosing fear. If you're blaming someone else or yourself, you're choosing fear. If you have to defend everything, you're choosing fear. We want to take that action from the space of love so that we can create really good karma for ourselves. So this week's invitation, my friends, is less efforting and more allowing. Maybe we were not even aware of how much energy we are wasting. So ask yourself, am I arguing with reality? Can I just step in a radical acceptance this week? I don't have to like it, but I'm going to accept it. No longer going to argue it. That's just a waste of my energy. Are you carrying or maybe unloading a heavy burden of blame? Are you carrying it yourself or unloading it onto someone else? If you're unloading a lot of blame onto someone else, you're still needing to carry it. That's a lot of energy that you're expending on blame. What if you made it your teacher, this person that you're putting blame on, or this experience you had that you're blaming yourself? Can you see it differently? It's now an opportunity for you to learn something that you just take responsibility. I get to choose how I respond now. And then do you find yourself constantly defending yourself, your point of view, your truth, defending your truth? What if you lived your truth instead of defended it? How would that free up some energy? So this is this week's invitation. And this, for me, when it comes to efforting, is about being first. Yes, we need to do things. You bet we need to put action and effort behind, our goals and our intentions. That's essential. But if you're not being first, that means just be still, breathe, connect in, and just, come home to yourself. Come here, ground. And just say, oh my goodness, I'm no longer going to effort away my energy. I'm not going to waste my energy on these things anymore. But we need the awareness. This to me is the natural flow of effort, or the natural law of effort. And that's always about creating balance. So be first. Be aware first of where you're wasting your energy so that you can take it back. Be in a space where you're not exhausted. You can see things differently. Take action and put the effort behind the action from that space. So, have a fabulous week, my friends, of less efforting, more allowing. Notice where you're wasting your energy and take that power back. Namaste.